You're listening to the Holistic Health Front podcast.
Whether you've already taken steps towards a healthier life,
or you're just starting to explore this path,
this podcast aims to help all of us live longer and more energized lives,
so we can all do the things we want and be the person we know we can be.
We bring on functional health experts, parents, professionals, and everyday people who want to make positive changes in their lives.
And we create powerful conversations about how to feel good in a fun, easy, and understandable way,
so you can live the most fulfilling life possible.
Enjoy today's discussion and let us hear your thoughts in our Powerful People Facebook group.
The information presented in this podcast is not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease.
If you have any questions about your health or the health of a loved one, please consult your healthcare practitioner.
Now let's begin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Holistic Health Front podcast. We are a group of health professionals and human beings who have had our own experiences in life, and we want to have powerful conversations and make that available to as many people as possible, because we believe that having powerful conversations around being happier, healthier, more energized, more authentically grounded people, the more that we can have those conversations, the more that that'll actually spread around, and we'll actually see more happy, healthy, energized people who are living truly authentically to who they want to be. And this episode, we're specifically talking about the number one first step that any of us can take, no matter what path we're on, to feel better, to look better, to do better, all of the above. And it's this one Achilles heel that could essentially be the difference between accomplishing our health and wellness goals versus just kind of talking about it or just kind of dreaming about it. And remember, in the last episode, we defined health and wellness as a very broad term, a very broad idea. It's not just about whether we have a cough or not, or whether we feel tired or not. It's everything. It's the joy we feel in life. It's our capabilities to go do the things that we really want to do and be the person we really want to be and impact the people around us in the way that really resonates with our hearts and makes a real difference in this world. Because as social creatures, it's really important to us to make a difference in this world, whether we are actively doing something about that or not. It is massively important to us. So we're talking about the Achilles heel today. Any time we decide that we want to make an improvement in our life, it starts with this, which I'll tell you as soon as we introduce everybody who's on the call. So again, we are the Holistic Health Front. We are a group of health professionals, human beings, parents, siblings, students, etc. People who just want to feel and do good in life. We've all gone through different types of backgrounds and programs. So we all bring a very specific and unique skill set to the table and different perspective to the table. And as the Health Front, like I said, we're a group. So my name is Tyler Atwell, and we have this amazing group of people here. If you're watching us on video, you can see everybody's faces. If you're not watching on video, you're going to hear everybody's voices. But if we could just give us a quick introduction of who you are. I know we did this in more detail on the last episode, so this will be a little bit more high level, just who you are and why health and wellness is important to you.
Hi, everybody. Stephanie Cook. I live in Iowa. I have been doing health and wellness for almost 20 years. And what health and wellness means to me is kind of what Tyler talked about. It's being able to live your best life. It's not just the absence of disease. It's the presence of joy and the presence of purpose in your life. I'm a health and wellness coach. I've done energy medicine for the last several years, and I'm also a nutraceuticals consultant. So I've worked in different areas like that in the past.
Amazing. Thank you. And next on our list, we have Courtney.
Hi, Courtney Ramey here, checking in from beautiful St. John in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I am an integrative nutrition health coach and also a Reiki practitioner. And to me, health and wellness is really about finding balance. And there's so many different facets that we have going on in our lives. That's just more than what you put in your mouth. And it's looking at all those things. It's your social life. It's your spirituality. It's your work life. It's your home life. It's your job. And when all these things are in balance, things are going to be pretty good. But once they're in balance, it doesn't mean they're always going to stay. So it's that constant awareness and desire to keep yourself feeling good in mind, health, and body.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And third on the list, we have Kayla.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm from Michigan. I'm a mother of 2 boys, and I'm an office manager at a functional medicine office that I've worked at for 2 years. And I'm also an integrative nutrition health coach. I think that through this last probably about 2 years, I've discovered like what health really is to me, and not necessarily just like going about my day and making everybody else healthy, but really like taking care of yourself, and your mental health is a huge, huge part. It's probably my most passionate part of health, I think, because I think for a long time I didn't even know who I was. And so I think just continuing to grow and improve every single day, and not necessarily reaching like a stopping point or a destination, but just constantly just improving my overall everything is just super, super important. And that's just my definition of health, or why it's important.
Love that. Amazing. Yeah, isn't it like so contagious whenever we're on this path of improvement? Like we have identified a part of ourselves where we want to grow, like an area of our life where we want to grow. And we just decide, hey, I'm going to do what it takes to grow there. And, for me, whenever I come to that awareness / decision, I feel like life just feels a little brighter every day. I wake up in the morning and it's like, ooh, I know what I'm doing today. I know what I'm aiming for and who I want to be today. And feels like it
something
opens
very powerful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Once you make the decision, because you have split energy before, right? Your energy's like, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And then when you make that decision, all of those split energies come together, and it creates that focus, regardless of what it is. That could be something as simple as what I want to cook for dinner tonight. But once the decision's made, it's a powerful feeling to know what you want to do and to move towards it.
Yeah. It's almost like when you start a movie. That's how it feels for me, at least. Whenever I make a decision, like, you know what, I'm going to do this podcast. It almost feels like the moment I say I'm going to do this podcast, it's like the opening credits of a movie, and there's this whole adventure coming, and it's going to be a roller coaster. There's going to be a lot of things that happen in the meantime. But yeah, it's like that very bubbly, energizing feeling of possibility and hope.
Yeah.
Right.
Hope is like super key right there.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been times in my life where I felt like I don't have hope.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the times in my life where I've made the worst decisions. I wouldn't take anything back in my life, but there's some decisions that I look at that I made in my life where I'm like, what was that?
That's called life. That's just part of the journey. It's a refining process. Raise your hand if you've ever made a decision you weren't happy with. I mean, that's what we do, right?
But you always learn from it. Which is what you have to always remember when you're going through something that's uncomfortable, is that you're going to learn from it as long as you're paying attention and have an intention to get out on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, 100%. And you know what? This is a perfect transition into the topic of today's episode, because I kind of put a little open loop out there about, what is this Achilles heel? What is this number one thing that comes at the beginning of any path to health, wellness, happiness, joy, success, etc.? And this one thing, it starts at that moment of that decision that we were just talking about, right? When we decide, okay, I am going to make a real effort to lose weight, or I am going to make a real effort to put on some more muscle, or to have my belly feel better, or to get better sleep at night, no matter what it is, or have a better relationship with my partner or my kids. No matter what that decision is that we make, there is that decision that happens right there at the very beginning of all of it. And in that decision, it's not just the one decision to say, I'm going to do this. There's like 15 decisions that happen underneath that one decision in that moment. It's the decision to say, this is worth it for me to invest my time and energy into. It's the decision to say, I can do this. It's the decision to say that I'm worth doing this for, right? It's a decision to say, I'm going to be consistent and continuously do the things that will lead me on the path to achieving this thing. There's a lot of like mini decisions that happen underneath that one decision to lose weight or gain muscle or fill in the blank.
Right.
And I believe that all of those mini decisions that happen right there is like the foundation to create concretely your mindset going into it. And the mindset is everything when it comes to our path to wellness, to happiness, to joy, to everything, because the mindset is the one thing that could just blow it all up.
Yeah.
Or it's the one thing that could make it happen no matter what else happens. And it's kind of become a little bit of a cliche thing to say, you know, practice mindfulness, or you got to have a positive mindset, or you've got to have a growth mindset, or, you know, it's become very cliche. And I feel like the meaning is getting lost behind the words. What does it mean to have a positive, healthy, happy growth mindset? And how do I know I'm actually doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Because with a mindset implies having a healthy mindset also comes with it this idea of accepting delayed gratification, because a mindset isn't a button that we press and all of a sudden we have a happy, healthy growth mindset. It's a decision and a commitment that we make that we keep revisiting every single day. And we live like this, even if it doesn't always feel right. You know, like even if I don't feel like I'm a champion today, I've still got to talk to myself in my head and my mind like I'm a champion. And that's how you get through those ruts. And even if you don't perform like a champion, the fact that you come back again to perform the next day over and over and over again, that's what makes you a champion. But in the meantime, it's easy to get lost in the weeds and lose sight of, am I practicing a healthy mindset? I don't know. There's no like clear signs in life that tell me if I'm doing it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, when we were preparing for this, I looked at the definition of mindset, and it said that mindset is the established set of attitudes held by somebody. Mm-hmm. And so you can have a mindset about several different things. You know, you can have a mindset about your job, your family, your career. But to have a mindset about health, it's going to be different for everybody. And so I love the fact that it's the established set of attitudes held by somebody, because oftentimes we can talk about wanting, like my mindset is I want a healthy lifestyle, right? But what are my attitudes about a healthy lifestyle? You know, and that's something that you need to unpack. You know how you said it's several decisions underneath there? It's something that you have to unpack. So oftentimes you think to yourself, I want to have a healthy mindset, but I think vegetables are gross and people that eat vegetables are uppity. You know what I mean? Like it's an attitude. You don't even know it's there, right? Until you start unpacking it, right? And so it's about looking at your attitudes about whatever healthy mindset you decide to choose. And then ask yourself, how do you really feel about the qualities of a healthy mindset? Like how do you feel about, you know, exercise? How do you feel about vegetables? How do you feel about, you know, wellness? How do you feel about healthy people? You know, sometimes we have this attitude that healthy people are self-absorbed or shallow because they're always worried about their bodies, or we have all these little things that are underneath the surface that we don't even realize that are interfering with our mindset, which is, I want to live a healthy life. So it's about unpacking all of that and then looking a little deeper to see, are all my attitudes supporting my mindset that I proclaim I want to have? So,
and also, you know, exploring what does a healthy life look like to you?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it probably looks different to me than it does to Tyler, than to Kayla, than to you.
Yes.
And I think that's important to figure out too, what each individual goal is.
Yeah. And to personalize it, you know, it's all about completely personalizing where somebody is. Because somebody's healthy mindset might be, I want to be able to run 5 miles. My dad is paralyzed and blind from a stroke 20 years ago. And for him, a healthy mindset is making sure that he tries to stand up every day, once a day, and use that side of his body that still works. And he always calls and says, I gave up the soda pop. I'm only drinking a cup of coffee in the morning and water. And so the healthy mindset is going to be unique for everybody.
100%. Yeah. And so what would you say to somebody if somebody comes to you and they say, I just think that healthy people are really uppity and I don't see myself like that.
Yeah.
What would you like? What would you say to a person like that? If they're coming to you and they're saying, hey, I know I need to be healthy and I should be healthy, but I don't feel like I can relate to healthy people. They seem a little uppity.
They seem a little uppity. They've always got broccoli in their hand. When they go out to dinner, they never have a margarita. There's all these ideas that we have. And first off, one of the things that my daughter, I thought this was brilliant, and I'm going to share it. My daughter's therapist was really great about having my daughter look at a thought like that. So all healthy people are uppity. And the first question you have to ask is, and self-absorbed. You know what I mean? They're shallow, self-absorbed. First question you have to ask is that a fact? Is it a fact? Have you interviewed all healthy people, right? And then the second question you have to ask yourself is, does that belief, all healthy people are uppity and shallow and self-absorbed, does that belief support my goals? You know what I mean? Does that belief support my goals? And if your goal is to have a healthier mindset, healthier life, then does that belief support my goals? And the answer is no, that doesn't support my goals. And the third question is, does this belief make me feel good and how I want to feel? And it doesn't matter how you answer that, but if you answer no to any of those three questions, then you work with people to thought correct and to something really neutral, right? So healthy people are uppity, self-absorbed, shallow. You wouldn't thought correct to healthy people are the most generous, kind, loving people I've ever met, because then your brain's like, no, they're not, because nobody is, right? So, to thought correct to something neutral, like healthy people are just people like me that are doing the best they can. It's just something neutral. And so, working with that type of stuff to create a new idea, so that when you do think about healthy people, you laugh and go, oh, wait a minute, my ego says this, but the truth of the matter is this, and you just you retrain your brain to think differently about it. It does require some time. It's not an overnight thing.
I want to touch on the retraining your brain.
Yeah.
Because I think that is really key. And it does take time, but it works, and it worked for me. I was struggling with my self-worth about a year ago, and every day I would get my morning tea ready and I would stir it, and I would stir into it positive affirmations about how worthy I am. And at first, okay, I don't know if this is true, but then little by little, I began to believe it, and once I believed it, I began to feel empowered by it. And now I love that ritual. And I use it also to set intentions for my day. And I stir that right into my tea, and I drink it. So it's this lovely, warm morning ritual that gets me ready for my day.
Yeah. And it's got some action involved in it. I love that, because it's like a mind-body thing, and you're creating those connections are really good.
Yeah, and it works.
It does. It's extremely powerful. Anytime that you can put an action with a thought, it's extremely powerful. They know that children learn through movement and dance. You'll watch kindergarten and younger, they oftentimes having them singing songs or moving things in order to learn stuff.
Yeah, the more senses you use for one specific thing, you are going to remember and learn from it better and implement it more. It'll definitely make a bigger impact.
Yeah. And Courtney's brilliant because she's using sense of smell, with the T, and the sense of taste with the T. I mean, it's brilliant. Think about how many senses she's got going just with that ritual. That's a really great idea, Courtney.
And I'm feeling the warmth.
And the warmth. Yeah. And then speaking it, there's something extremely powerful about having an output, whether it's through writing or through our voice, when we're trying to learn new things. Extremely powerful. I when I work with clients, I often ask them, is it easier for you to talk out loud or is it easier for you to write? But to have an output that you're using, and Courtney was using, words, she was stirring affirmations into that. It has to be something that makes sense for them, but routine makes a huge difference.
Interesting. Yeah.
And have any of you used morning pages? I love those.
So explain.
Okay. So morning pages are her last name is Julia Cameron. And this is in her book, The Artist's Way. And it's taking time every morning to write 3 pages of just a brain dump, a mind, just get it on the paper, whatever it is. And it just kind of clears your brain and gets you ready for the day. And I found that writing intentions, when I'm done with the brain dump, it's whatever I write happens. It's almost
it's very powerful.
Yeah.
Funny story, actually. I was thinking about making a section on the podcast where I read some of my entries from my morning pages out loud on the podcast for accountability and just to put it out in the world. I'm a firm believer in just really put it out there in the world. I'm not one of those people that says, oh, knock on wood, don't say it, you're going to jinx it. I'm like, no, tell everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
Make sure everybody knows what the plan is and put it out there. But yeah, I was thinking about adding the morning pages as a section on the podcast as well, which could be an interesting thing to consider.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to see. We were talking about attitude, where your attitude is towards a lot of things as well, because when you do morning pages, let me tell you, you are not fully like there.
Right.
And you don't have all those judgments and all those automatic negative thoughts. You just have what it is that your brain woke up with.
Right.
And so you might not be able to read it real well. I know I couldn't read
and
mine.
That's okay.
But I could go back enough to see like, oh, that's like my authentic thoughts before your daily like podcasts come in. You scroll through Facebook, you come in contact with all these people that irritate you. Like, these are just what is on your brain, and you can kind of get a sense of like what your attitude is, if you don't know, towards certain things and your health and becoming healthy.
Yeah. It's
whether it be relationships or anything. Like, it doesn't have to just be like your physical health. I'm talking all health.
Right. Well, and that holds true, like a healthy mindset about relationships, right? How do you feel about people that appear to be in a healthy relationship? Do you admire them? Are you jealous of them? Or do you think they're like hiding something because nobody's that happy? Or do you think, you know what I mean? Do you think, oh my God, get a room, take your lovey kissy, you know what I mean? Like, how are you feeling when you see somebody that's got this healthy, happy, lovey relationships? Or you're like, oh my God.
It depends on the day for me, but most of the time I like to celebrate it.
Exactly. And that's fantastic. But when you're asking yourself about a healthy mindset about a particular subject, truly sit back and ask yourself, how do you feel about people that are in love? How do you feel about people that are healthy? How do you feel about people that exercise? How do you feel about people that eat salad? Oh my God, it's so freaking annoying to go to a restaurant and I'm going to order a burger and fries and the person across from me is going to order a tuna salad. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel that way? Or does it not even faze you? Truly ask yourself, and then you'll find out what those attitudes are. Same thing about money. To have a healthy mindset about money, how do you feel about rich people? Are they a bunch of self-absorbed people that had to harm other people to get their riches? My mom used to say, rich people have more money than sense. Well, I didn't want to be rich because I didn't want to be one of those people that was stupid and didn't handle my money well, right? And that was kind of drilled into me as a kid. My mom said it all the time. Rich people have more money than sense. Well, I didn't want to be one of those people. But you didn't and then you wake up and you're an adult and you're like, wow, I was imprinted upon so much as a child. So ask yourself, when you're creating a healthy mindset, what attitudes do I have about people that have that lifestyle that I'm trying to achieve, whether it's relationships, love, health, finance, homes, whatever. Because
That's definitely
it's
a good
telltale.
place to start for sure, is to peel back those layers and figure out why you feel that way.
Yeah.
And do you really feel that way? Because or is it just something that somebody told you your whole entire life? Maybe
Absolutely.
go hang out with somebody that you think is that way, or go hang out with a group of people who you think are that way, and just get a different perspective to be like, maybe it's not like I really think it is. And that will definitely give you a different perspective.
Right.
In turn, allowing you to decide where you want your mindset to be, really.
Exactly.
On your terms.
Yeah. And ask yourself those 3 questions. Is it true? Does this attitude support my goals? And does this attitude about that make me feel good? How I want to feel. And then create something that allows you to feel more neutral about that, so that it doesn't have a charge.
Rewriting your limiting beliefs.
Yes. Man, sometimes it's amazing what'll come out when you start hitting those questions, and you're like, oh, wow. I didn't realize I was feeling this way, but now that you asked. And another thing, that neighbor that I had, whatever it is, because we have all this stuff. We don't just have this, we've got lives and families and relationships and children. There's a lot 100%. There.
Yeah. So we have 3 minutes left before we go to break. So I want to summarize a little bit of what we talked about so far, and then just show some love to our live audience really quick. So first, talking about mindset, one thing, the first thing that we talked about so far is that really understanding and getting clear on how do you feel about what you want to do, and what are the emotions that are underneath it, and the beliefs that are underneath it as well. And then really being willing to challenge your beliefs, especially the beliefs that aren't necessarily serving you per se. Are they actually bringing you closer to your goals of what you want or what you need? And being willing to challenge our goal or challenge our beliefs, it comes down to really analyzing our thoughts and asking questions, right? Do I really believe this? Why? What's underneath that? What happened that caused me to feel this way? Is there another way to see this? Is there another perspective to this thought? And if we can replace those limiting beliefs with empowering beliefs, and an empowering belief could be, I can do it, or it could be, yes, I still think that healthy people are uppity, but I can redefine what it means to be healthy. I can redefine these things in my own words and just be that, right? I don't have to be put in the box of what I believe everybody else thinks is healthy. I can get really clear on what do I think is healthy, and I can be that because that is cool to me. That's who I want to be. That's not being uppity, because being uppity isn't healthy anyways. That's not a healthy mindset, because as we're going to talk about after our break, a healthy mindset involves bringing other people in on what you're doing, right? A healthy mindset is a sharing, open, flow type thing. And we are social creatures. We do so much better with a group of people, which is why we're all doing this podcast together rather than all of us individually going out and doing our own podcast, which we still might do at some point. We can. That's totally cool. But why not do it together? Because it's more fun and more effective, right? So really quick, just because, just 1 minute before this call ends, and we're going to go to break. Then what I'm going to do, just for everybody on this call, I'm going to resend a new link in our group chat so that everybody else can jump back on. Everybody who's listening, this is part of the Bootstrap podcast way. We're using a free recording platform for right now, so we have to do it this way. If you would like to donate to the show or contribute financially to our production, you are more than welcome to. You can find us all in the Powerful People community, or on Facebook or whatever. Reach out to any of our coaches, and we are happy to talk about that. But I do want to show some love to everybody in our live audience so far. Shannon, Aileen, Laura, thank you all. Is that everybody? Yeah. Thank you all for listening in. I am going to send the links so you can all jump back on. But I want to read a few comments. Aileen said, "Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. That makes so much sense to think like that. I wish I would have read it when we were talking about it because I can't remember exactly what that was too, but it's good to hear that we're resonating. Shannon loves the idea of bringing the senses into everything. This episode is brought to you by oxygen and carbon dioxide. Breathe deep, breathe slow. Are you tired of nagging headaches, body pains, and feeling like you've been steamrolled by 2 p.m.?
Ugh.
Want to feel more alive with a clearer mind, voice, and skin?
Yep.
And not to mention getting rid of that pesky BO when the deodorant starts to wear off?
Ew.
Introducing to you today, water. Did you know that 75% of American adults are chronically dehydrated? And did you know that majority of people who are dehydrated think that they actually are hydrated? That means most people are not drinking enough water. But if they did, and they realized how much of a massive difference it makes in how they feel to be hydrated, they would realize that water can change their life. So drink more water. Aim for 96 fluid ounces per day minimum for adults. Side effects include peeing more often the first couple of weeks, but don't worry, it will slow down soon. I know I should really drink less caffeine. I just wish there was some way of getting energy in the morning without a coffee. Ah, the sun! Wait a minute. I feel good. Especially when I close my eyes and stare at the sun through my eyelids. Wow, this is great. I think I'm ready to crush this day now. Thanks, sun. The sun. Use it for free with care. Hey y'all, hope you've enjoyed these goofy little commercials. The information is all accurate and valid, so please use the tips we shared. Even though we're having fun and being silly recording them, they're still 100% meant to support you and entertain you. We'll be getting back to the show in just a minute, but first, I want to really encourage you to join our free community on Facebook. It's called the Powerful People Community, and it's a place where you can interact with other listeners of the show, including me, our other coaches and co-hosts and everybody. And it's a place where you can ask questions publicly or anonymously. You can request episode topics, you can share your story, and celebrate with a group of really amazing people who will also be celebrating you. So we really hope to see you in the community. We think we're building something really special because we believe when you bring together a group of powerful people, there's just so many great things we can do in this world, more than we could do on our own. So we're building a special community and we hope to talk to you there soon. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the show. So we got a little cut off there before the break. Hopefully you enjoyed that little word from our sponsors. But, as we're talking about today, mindset and just kind of what does it take to be able to have the kind of mindset, the kind of belief systems that will allow us to live the life and live in the manner in which we most want to, that we would get the most joy and fulfillment from. And so we've already covered some pretty interesting thoughts and conversation topics around this point, like getting really clear on how you feel about what it is that you're going to do or that you want to do. What are your feelings around that? What are your feelings around what success looks like and what that would mean to you and what that would say about you? And then also just being willing to challenge our beliefs and just really ask ourselves, like, is this actually true? And is this actually serving me? Is this what I want to believe going forward? And just that's been a huge thing for me in my life. When I was a teenager, I really started going down a very self-destructive path for a while. And, I would always tell people at my school that I remember I would tell everybody, like, what are you going to do after school or whatever? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to become a fat alcoholic. And I would say that to everybody. But why? And it's because a huge number of the adult influence I had in my life were alcoholics. And they had that kind of mindset of, I'm just here to get drunk and get by, And I adopted that mindset as a teenager. And so I felt like I was already defined by other things besides myself at that point in my life. And of course, that led me to start making these decisions. Like, yeah, I'm going to see if I can get some alcohol and get drunk. Or I'm going to get drunk before I go to school. Or yeah, I'll try some cocaine. Like it really spiraled into worse and worse decisions. And it all stemmed from this belief that this is just who I am. And there's no way I could be anything else. Thankfully, I had a wake-up call, and it really took me to reach a really difficult point in my life to have that wake-up call. But I finally realized that, how do I say this without sounding cliche? I finally realized that life is really just an empty portrait, and we get to paint whatever beautiful masterpiece we want, and we get to define what we believe is a beautiful masterpiece. And there's so much opportunity. There's so much potential in life of things that we can do. There's so much beauty. It's insane. If you look in any direction, there's something beautiful to see, even if you've looked at that same thing for the past 10 years and said that's ugly, right? But it requires us to really challenge our beliefs and say, is it really that ugly? I used to think where I grew up was like the armpit of the United States. Like I thought where I grew up is just disgusting, bad people, no opportunity, yada, yada. And since I've become an adult, I've been lucky enough to travel all around the United States, to go to so many different places. I've traveled all around Mexico. I've traveled around Italy, several places in Canada. I've been able to get out of that bubble and get some perspective and see a more full look at what is out there in life. And now I can look at where I grew up and say, it's actually really beautiful there. We have a lot of really great things going on about us, a lot of things that make us really special in that region where I come from, that's specific to us because of our specific circumstances that we live with. And I look at the people who live there now almost with like a little bit of, what's a positive way of saying, envy? Because I don't, I don't feel like a bad negative, like, oh, I wish I could live there. But I look at the people who live there and I'm like, you're so lucky. You've got so many great things. And yes, I'm from there and I'm born from there, and I don't live there now. But you can get so much perspective just by getting out of the bubble and realizing that, hey, that thing that you've been looking at with a scowl on your face and judging with negativity is actually a very beautiful opportunity and a very great thing to appreciate in life. Right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, challenging beliefs is very important, and just being willing to ask ourselves questions and replace those limiting beliefs with things that are empowering for us, like thoughts that really empower us. And I'm a firm believer in the power of words. And the thoughts that we think in our head, a lot of times we think, I've got a nail clipper around my finger, I'm just fidgeting. When we think, a lot of times we think in words. It's just like speaking words out loud. Like a thought has a similar vibration that the word does, because of the meaning that we put behind that word and the intention that we put behind that word. And we can really, even if, and look, I take this to an extreme sometimes, right? Like if I'm feeling really sick, like I will sit there and I will tell myself that, no, I'm healing, I'm feeling better. Like, I'm just over the hump, like feel in recovery mode. I will convince myself in my thoughts, even if I don't think it's true, right? I've lived the past 5 years with the mindset of a millionaire, because I'm like, I'm rich. I've got everything I need in life. All I have to do now is just give, because I don't need to get anything. And I've kind of lived like that, even though my bank account is in a very different position than some millionaire's bank account. I know I will be, because I'm thinking those thoughts. I'm embodying the person who I want to be. It's almost like I've embodied the thought pattern, the mindset. The mindset is cliche, and I know we're talking about that. The thought patterns, and by thought patterns, I mean the phrases and the words and the feelings. I'm embodying those things of myself after I'm rich and successful and happy and joyful.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it from this perspective completely. I'm bringing in some of those thoughts of future me. Now.
To me, Tyler, that sounds like you're talking about vibration. And so you're raising your vibration. And when your vibration is raised, you attract that same vibration to you. The same if your vibration is low, you're going to attract low vibrational experiences as well. So having that feeling of knowing of believing that you're there, that you're just going to continue to make decisions and be guided to that, because your vibration is
absolutely
high.
Yeah. Like attracts like. If you're wanting high vibrational stuff and you're sitting in a low vibration, those two miss each other, so it's about getting up to that vibration so that you can connect with it, because it's an attraction.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the high vibrational emotions like joy and gratitude when you feel that about something. Like when I was talking about my tea stirring, when I started to believe that, I could feel the shift, the vibrational shift in my body, and then things just accelerated.
Gratitude is extremely powerful. I have used gratitude, whether it's gratitude journals or talking out loud or whatever it is. It's an extremely powerful vibration. And one of the things that I like to, when you're working with people that have difficulty finding something that feels true, saying those positive things and having those gratitudes, but it doesn't feel true, I always tell them to create a story in their head that could be true. It's usually, my favorite thing to do is like, how would you feel if you could feel love and gratitude? What would that feel like? And a lot of people have difficulty making that for themselves. So I say, what's it feel like to have love or gratitude about something else? And I'll say, what's something that would just make you just smile bigger than life? And I tell people to create like a little book of lies, the morning writing that you guys were talking about. Sometimes I tell people to write something that would just tickle you pink. So I'll give you an example. Examples were great for me. So my dad got moved into a nursing home after my mom passed. And he resisted and was super sad, called me every day crying and cussing and all sorts of stuff, saying things that weren't very positive about where he was. And so I got up every morning and I started writing down a positive story about my dad, because we have such a strong connection. So let me give you an example of a positive story. Now, this was my little book of lies. This didn't actually happen, but this was my little book of lies. I would write down, Dad called me today. He actually went down to the cafeteria to play bingo, and he won the bingo game. He called me. He was so excited because he actually won a bag of his favorite honey roasted peanuts. Writing that it raised my vibration, because to think of my dad doing that. So another story about my dad would be, Dad called today and they were sitting around the table, and one of the little old ladies that's in the nursing home with them reached over and patted his knee and said something really sweet to him. And it just filled my dad's heart. Like, thinking about my dad in that way fills my heart up. And so if you can't find something positive about yourself to fill your heart up, think about those people that what would make you feel good. I'll do stuff with my kids. My daughter, for example, broke up with her boyfriend, and when she would like to date, this was a while back, but I used to start like, hey, Annika called me today and she said, oh my God, Mom, you'll never believe who I met, and tells me this great story about something really random that happened. But I'm writing this story out. And as I'm writing this story out, I'm getting tickled and I'm getting fun, and it's getting more exciting, because to think of her having this experience raises me, and oftentimes I tell people it's hard sometimes, if you're not feeling that way about yourself, to create a story about somebody else, because then that doesn't matter where the vibration comes from, whether it's a story about me, my daughter, my dad, as long as my vibration is there in the morning when I'm writing it out, then it starts to create momentum. And then that carries into your day and into your life.
That's good. I've never heard of that before. I like that.
Yeah, it's a little book of lies.
But it also gives you a different perspective on that person, and makes them more human than just looking at them as a behavior.
Yes. Absolutely. And I noticed when I started doing the little book of lies about my dad, especially because he was really struggling, he would call and our conversations would be different, because I was thinking of him differently. My vibration towards my dad changed because I was thinking about this cute little old lady patting him on the leg and holding his hand. And I was thinking about him, bingo, I was thinking about him having fun. And so when we, it's that, you're missing each other. So when we were on the phone together, I was already more tickled about him, and his vibration would come up to match mine. And so I'm raising his vibration by having these thoughts, because like attracts like. Two opposing vibrations cannot exist in the same space. So if my vibration is a high tickled pink vibration about my dad, when he gets on the phone with me, we have two choices here. He can either raise up to meet my vibration, or I can lower down to meet his. And if I'm holding mine, he's got to come up there, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're affecting everybody around you, when you do that.
Good, a good reason to remember that you also need to surround yourself with the people that you want. Like if you want to feel that way, then it is a really good idea to surround yourself with the people that authentically feel that way, because that will help raise you up and make sure that you have the energy that they have to share essentially with you.
100%. Yeah. Because it's not always, whenever we make a decision to go on this growth journey, right? Whatever type of growth we choose, we're also accepting that it's not always going to be easy. And the moment that we make the decision tends to be the moment where it feels the easiest, because it's empowering to make that decision. And you get a dopamine hit when you're like, yes, I've got this new initiative that I'm going to go on. You've got a lot of adrenaline and a lot of things that are there to make it feel exciting and doable and empowering and all these things. But fast forward 6-7 weeks, and that feeling might be a little bit different. You might have come across some obstacles. You might have come across some things that are knocking you out of that mind space, out of that vibration that you were feeling when you made that decision. And that's what you're saying, like having having the type of people around you who are at the vibration where you want to be. You can borrow other people's energy in a sense.
You right? So can negative and positive. So you have to be careful.
Absolutely.
Yes. And it works, because like, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like you're having thoughts like, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if I'm going to succeed. I said I was going to lose X number of pounds, and I actually gained a pound over the past week, whatever time frame. When you're feeling those thoughts and you're feeling defeated in a sense, or like the negativity slipping in through the cracks, that's when, if you just call somebody who is like that beacon of energy and life and possibility in your life, have a conversation with them, talk through it. And by the end of that call, you might be feeling a whole lot different. And maybe it won't be like, rah, I can do it. But instead it's just like, okay, I can do it today. And sometimes that's all you need is you just need enough to get you through the day, because then tomorrow you might wake up feeling a whole lot different. So yeah, a lot of value in having in the people around you. Like that's a huge thing to consider with the mindset, is who are the people that you're going to invite on this journey with you? And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing it with you. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're also trying to lose 5 pounds, or they're also going to wake up every morning and go work out with you. It's the people who you're telling the story to. It's who you're involved in, you're keeping updated on your journey, and you're letting them ask you questions and be accountability in your life. That's why, like I said, for me, if I make a decision, like I want to do something, I tell everybody. Mostly because I tell everybody because I've done a pretty good job in my life of surrounding myself with really good people. So I don't really have a lot of negative people to call and tell about. If I do, I'm not calling them, right? I don't, but so because I've done a pretty good job over the past 5-10 years of deciding who gets to be close to me, I can be really excited about my initiatives and the things that I want to do, and go tell everybody and just let it just flow and let it be open. And the accountability drives me to do better and be a better version of myself.
So let's talk to those people that are out there that don't have that person. Let's give them some tools. Let's weigh in on that. For that person out there that's like, good for you, Tyler. You've got people that in your corner, but I don't.
Yeah.
Not only do I not have people in my corner, I have people that really bring me down. So let's everybody weigh in. What do we say to those people?
I think that it's super important to set boundaries with them and make sure that you're aware of the boundaries and you stick to them, and that they are aware of the boundaries as well.
But I think if whether or not people are aware of any boundaries you set, it's still your responsibility to uphold those boundaries. So I don't know if a person necessarily needs to know those boundaries, exactly what they are. You just start behaving in a way that honors yourself when you're around them or in a situation. Because if they don't want to respect your boundaries, then they might not.
They don't have to, but it's really good for them to know them, because it's also somebody that's not going to respect your boundaries probably needs to set some themselves. And if they see that you are very steadfast on making sure that you are going to stick with your boundaries, eventually they'll get it. Eventually they will understand that your negative energy, like you can't come to me with that, or I can't come to you in this situation, because if we're talking about somebody that you want to be able to like go to, super important that you make sure that they're aware. I think it is super important, whether they're going to honor that right away or not, they eventually will. But I think it is definitely a first step to making sure that you're going to have somebody that you can talk to.
Yeah. One of the things that I always say is try to have something that's specific to you personally, that kind of just helps you shake like a duck, and get yourself moving, get your vibration going. And it's different for everybody. Some people it's breathing, some people it's just walking outside. Some people it's singing a song. Sometimes it's putting on music. For Courtney, it's getting that cup of tea and stirring in her positive, what are those things that we can do to pour into ourselves? Does anybody have I know I love Courtney's ritual. Does anybody have any other rituals that they do? I mean, some people do meditation. Some people just like to sing in the shower. What's something that we can do personally when we know we're feeling that and we need that lift and there's nobody around to help us with that lift?
Yeah. Before I answer that question, I just really quickly want to answer your last question. For those who don't have the kind of people in their life who are uplifting to them, or even more extreme, have people in their life who are bringing them down and trying to actively dismantle their their passion for life and their momentum in life. I'd say first and foremost, that's why this show was created, is for people like that, because I know that there's so many people who don't have access to these kinds of conversations or these kinds of people. And that's one thing that we can always say about anybody who's ever going to be on this podcast, is we are here pouring ourselves into lifting everybody up, right? Whoever's listening to this show is for you. If you feel completely alone in what you want in your life or who you want to be, and you just don't feel like you're seen as the person who you want to be seen as by the people around you, that's okay. That happens, because when people get too close to us, they tend to kind of start to define us themselves. And so that's a whole other conversation. But here's an outlet where you can come to, and you can put some headphones in, or you can go to a quiet place or whatever, and just know that every word that we speak on this show, every vibration that we put out on the show is intentionally there to try to help lift you up into the most powerful, capable version of yourself possible. And you have us, at the very least, you have us. And living in this world where the internet has become such an accessible thing for so many people. I know not everybody, but at least most of the people listening to our show, the internet is accessible to them. There's a lot of powerful, uplifting voices that are out there that you can bring. You don't have to necessarily know them, but you can control what kind of thoughts and energy you bring into your space,
right,
by who you listen to. And I'll say that I've been in these positions where I've felt and I've realized that a lot of the people around me were negative or draining, at certain points in my life. There were certain moments in my life where I realized that. And the very first thing, the most important thing, is to limit their access to me, because we have to make room for good things in our life. Our life is already full, right? Like, we're already doing things. Even if we say we're not, we're filling our space doing something, whether it's exercising or scrolling on Twitter, whether it's eating a healthy meal or just ordering some pizza or whatever, like we have all these things in our life. And the first step, if we want more good in our life, we need to limit some of the bad. And I know this is the opposite of what we talk about in IIN as far as nutrition goes. Like nutrition, it's very common that a common thing to think about in coaching is to crowd it out, like to try to crowd negative things out with good. But I'll say that when it comes to the people in our lives that are around us, whether it's friends or family, etc., in this case, trying to limit their access to us, because it would be better for us to sit alone in silence than to be hanging out with somebody who's just putting a lot of negativity or drainage in our life. And it doesn't mean to cut them out completely from our life, like 100%, you're out of here. But it's saying like, no, I can't hang out today, I'm sorry. Or no, I can't go to the bar tonight, I'm sorry. Or whatever it is, I know that we can't always do that with every relationship in our life. Like, there's some people who are just in our life and there's nothing we can do about that. But like, that's where, like you said, finding these routines or these places of personal peace to where we can fill our own tank is so important. So circling back around to your next question of what are like some practices or routines that you do in your life that help to bring you that joy. I've got quite a few.
Anybody want to weigh in?
Go. Oh, I was going to say, kind of piggybacking on Tyler, like when you're spending this time alone, cultivating your energy, eventually you will begin to attract like-minded individuals into your circle, and you can share that higher vibration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
And if we're here to help, there's other people to help. So
Absolutely.
Just because you don't know who it is, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. You just have to find them. And start with us if you need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Reach out to us. We're on Facebook.
Or like any type of group that so say you're into art, go start joining people's art groups on Facebook. Maybe go to like a real art class. It's okay to go alone, and it's okay to be scared to go alone, because you will, as soon as you get there, you're going to realize like, oh, I don't regret coming or being involved with other people. And I'm sure that if somebody notices that you're by yourself, the right person will like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. And I like, movement affects energy as well. So if you can move in some way, whether that's just to stretch your whole body, have you ever done that great big stretch and everybody's like, all of a sudden you feel a little different, right? So it doesn't have to be a lot of movement, but, try movement. I always tell people, try shaking or, do some sort of movement, because energy gets stagnant in your body, and raising that vibration, I love exercise. I love yoga. I do yoga every morning. That's my routine. I do a lot of deep breathing. I do a lot of meditation, but it's taken me a while to get there. I didn't just wake up one morning and be like, okay, I'm going to do this every day. It started with little bitty baby steps, so giving yourself 3 to 5 minutes of, I'm like, just move. Like, you ever stood in front of the mirror and watched yourself do the twist? It's funny. You know what I mean? Like, come on, babe. It's just goofy. Make yourself laugh, but don't forget to move your body. Moving your body will help move your energy. And a lot of people don't realize that, get up and walk around the house and come back in. But, don't forget that movement affects their energy and the way that it flows through your body, and it can be something as simple as a 30-second twist or a jiggle or a stretch or breathing, but
Those are great points. Yeah. And I love that you said laugh at yourself a little bit and be
you guys,
fun.
I'm funny. It's just funny. Watch yourself in the mirror, do something. Like, it's goofy, right? Like, I just made everybody laugh, right? I mean, it's just like,
and I think a lot of times when we think about like mindset and personal development and growth, we get really serious about it. Like, I'm going to lose this weight. I need to lose weight. My doctor said if I don't or else. We get really serious about it, but that doesn't create an environment of growth and health and love. What that's doing is it's putting like almost a ceiling on the amount of growth and happiness we can actually feel. What we want to do is have fun with this process, enjoy. The more joy we can have, the more lighthearted we can live life like a romantic comedy instead of living life like Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
There's not a war that's going on that's going to destroy lives. It's like, oh no, like Matthew McConaughey might fall off the boat instead,
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's really important for people to understand. Actually, I had a client who I was talking to recently, and one thing that's been on his mind a lot is financial like side of health and his career. And he made a comment to me and he said, I want to get the finances in my life taken care of as quickly as possible so I can just move on from it and enjoy my life and just live my life and enjoy. And he's like, so I'm just completely 100% focused on my career. And then once my finances are in place, I'll take care of everything else. And I was like, I was thinking about it and I was like, the fastest path to financial growth and success and freedom is not hyper focusing on your career. That's not the fastest path to it. And I would argue that a faster path to financial success would be focusing on your joy instead, because a career is a marathon. If you try to sprint your marathon, you're going to burn out and you're never going to make it there. But if instead you focus on the joy in your life and really just feeling excited and happy about the things that we're doing in our life, that makes you more likely to show up every day and do the little bit of work every day to get the financial results that you want. And it's going to make you a more enjoyable person that people want to collaborate with or work with or be around. And money comes from other people. Money comes from relationships or people give other people money, and that's how you earn money. And if you are the kind of person who people like to work with, people like to talk to, they like to be around, you're more likely to see more opportunities in your life. And the last point about focusing on the joy is that time goes faster when we're having fun, right? Like we've all been in that situation where we're sitting at the office or sitting in class staring at the clock and we're bored and it's going so slowly. And then we've had those other experiences where we're jumping into a lake or we're playing a game or we're hanging with like family and loved ones, and time just seems to go by so much faster. Well, that's what you want, right? You're talking about getting your financial goals faster. That is essentially the fastest path because you're going to enjoy the journey so much more and be more likely to have opportunities. So that was an interesting revelation that we had from that call, that I left the call thinking, oh, wow, it's actually true, because as soon as I started going out in my community more and playing basketball every day and playing my guitar more often, all of a sudden I started getting more clients. Literally within weeks of deciding, hey, I'm going to do these things that I love every day instead of just grinding from morning until night. All of a sudden, the other areas of my health and happiness, because everything is connected, starting to see some momentum. Of having like a joyful, fun, playful mentality around our goals instead of serious. I have to. If I don't, then the worst. Right?
Yeah.
So we have 3 minutes left on the call. Sorry, I just went on a little tangent there. So I just want to like give 3 minutes for us to kind of like share our wrap-up thoughts here and then give a quick call to action for people listening. So do you want to just share just a couple wrap-up thoughts as far as mindset goes? This isn't the last time we're going to be talking about it, but this is kind of like an introductory conversation to it and a more broad conversation around mindset. So any last words.
Yes.
Go for it.
You need to always remember that you cannot and you should not believe every negative thought that you have.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to have a negative thought, but you need to make sure that you have it and you say, I don't want to think that. Or for Stephanie's questions, like, is it true? Is that negative thought true? First of all, is huge. And then, is it absolutely true? Because you might think it's true, and then is it absolutely true? And you have to turn that around and see what it feels like to turn that thought around. Super important. And honestly and accurately thinking is a huge part of that as well. So making sure that you know it's true. Super important mindset, surrounding yourself with people that you look up to, that you think are where you want to be in life. I had other things, and of course I don't remember because there's 3 minutes.
90 seconds now. No pressure.
What I liked was the sense of humor. Like, have a sense of humor. That's something that I'm always working on, because I feel like sometimes I just take myself so seriously. And really, I don't need to, because life needs to be filled with laughter and goofing around. And I want to be goofy. So I like that idea of humor and laughing at yourself, because why not?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're funny creatures.
Indeed we are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I would say is that choose one thing and start small. We tend to be like, I want to fix this and this and this and this. And then you have all this split energy that doesn't have any power behind it, And so it's that water hose. Am I going to spray wide, or am I going to get direct? So choose one thing. Choose one thing that you want to create a mindset around. It might just be something as small as sleep and how you feel about it, or vegetables and how you feel about it, but choose one thing. And focus on what you can do to create, thoughts that support that one mindset that you want to create. Choose one thing.
Yes. Hey, by the way, vegetables are delicious.
They're the best.
To cook
vegetable.
You actually don't even need to cook them. Vegetables are delicious. They are refreshing.
They're so refreshing.
So good, especially if you mix a bunch of vegetables together.
Yeah.
And you dip them in hummus?
Yes, absolutely. Dip them in ranch dressing. Come on, dip them in whipped cream. We got to get started somewhere. Let's go.
Why not?
That's huge.
Whipped cream.
That's where we start small.
Hey everyone, so obviously we just got cut off here at the end. We ran out of time, but I want to thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. We are here to bring powerful conversations to the people around the world, around the country, who maybe they don't have those conversations readily available for them. They don't have the kind of people around them who will have these kinds of conversations. Or maybe you are surrounded with these kinds of people and you just want to be a part of a big group, a big initiative to make good in the world and to do good in the world and feel good in our bodies and our soul and our heart. So thank you so much for listening. I challenge you to go back and listen to this episode again and listen to some of the tips that we share around developing a healthy growth mindset, and just look for one thing that you can take from this and adopt into your life or into your routines or into your beliefs, etc. One thing. And like we said, start small. It's amazing how much benefit we get out of just small, consistent actions. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be fun. It will get hard at times, but just be prepared for that and just be okay with going through the hard times and have a support system around you who will help you through those hard times. And whether it's physical people in your life or somebody online who you listen to, or us on our podcast, we love to be a source in your life of good. And we are a community. You can find us on Facebook in the Powerful People community. It's just a group of the listeners of this show, the coaches who are on this show, other coaches that we have in our lives, a group of powerful people who just want to contribute to the good in the world. You have that resource available to you. It's absolutely free. And we really hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please, if you are enjoying it, please subscribe. Please leave a review. Just let people know what your thoughts are on the show. It just goes a long way to helping us impact more people and thus giving us all a better life and society to live in together, because the more good we can put out into the world, the more good we have around us, and we all benefit from that. So again, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure and can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode.